This episode is sponsored by JDAQA Software Testing, your scalable solution for manual, automated, security, and performance testing. Check us out at jdaqa.com. And with that, let's get on with the show.
This is The First Customer, hosted by Jay Agner.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the First Customer Podcast. My name is Jay Agner. Today, I am lucky enough to be joined by Jeff Bruno. He is the co-founder and CEO at B.Modelr, a very interesting, seemingly useful use of generative AI. Since we have so many, or I should say so few, conversations about AI these days, we figured we should have another one. But this one actually seems like a good one. I love the concept behind it. I met Jeff recently at a channel partners event for one of our clients. Shout out Liberty Fox, Bill Evans over there. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Great to be here. Thanks, Jay.
It's starting to be hot out here in Philadelphia, so we're starting to get the humidity and the heat, but it's a nice day out, so can't complain too much over here. All right, tell me, man, where did you grow up and what impact did that have on you being an entrepreneur later in life?
Sure. So I grew up right here in Philly. I grew up Center City, Philadelphia, actually, Society Hill area. And, Philly pulls you back. So I was here and then went to New York, went to Florida for a couple gigs, and ended up getting pulled back here to Philly, finance track, and really ran my own business as soon as I got out of college. I mean, I was finance track, I was a retail broker, but you're still running your own business. So I had the entrepreneurial bug right from the beginning. And I
Hmm.
stayed in the small business space. And then coming back to Philly, I was working with a small business, helped them really scale, and decided I need to do something on my own. So
Beautiful. So I know you did the fractional CFO thing, and now you're building a really cool tech product, and you had a services company. Walk me through kind of the services business you ran that's leading into this product that you guys are making. We're going to talk about today.
yeah, awesome. 2013 started Your Outsourced CFO, which was our fractional CFO business. Ran it. We got some good traction because we were a little bit ahead of some of the other fractional CFOs at that time. It was just becoming a more popular thing around 11 years ago, just starting to be. So we had
Mhm.
a good run there for a while. We ultimately decided that it wasn't the avenue we wanted to pursue for the long-term scale of what my vision was. And you'll love this, Jay. I was sitting with my to-be partner. He was still an employee, Julian Wright, sitting with him outside, summer of 2021. And we're sitting outside, and I turned to him and I go, Julian, I don't think what I envisioned is actually what we're executing. And he turned to me and said, I love to hear that. Tell me your vision. And so I reiterated the vision from the start. And he said, I want to be a part of that. I said, great. I need you because I can't do the process side. Please come on as my partner. And he became a majority partner just a few months after that. And we started the pivot to move towards our tech play that we're doing now.
So I love the fact that you're leading with a vision as an entrepreneur and business owner. I think sometimes it's easy to get into consulting and freelancing and just do stuff and like make money and everything's fine. And then you kind of have to figure out your vision after some bumps and bumps along the way. Tell me what your vision is and how long have you had that? Has it always been something you've kind of thought you were going to do, or did you develop it after kind of living the life of your fractional CFO?
It's really clear, actually. When I first started the fractional CFO business, my vision was the same. I wanted to find ways to remove the fog of ambiguity that small business owners constantly are under when it's regards on how to focus on the right value pieces of their model, hence how to build the business. I approached it from a strategic financial management level through the fractional CFO. So I said, this is the way I'm going to help businesses remove ambiguity about how to move forward and or understand how to do that and give them permission to focus. And that ultimately was my vision from the very beginning. So it wasn't until sort of going through the motions of that I discovered that, well, the fractional CFO method just was not efficient enough way for
Hmm.
me to get the clients to actually lock in on that in real time. So I said, there has to be another way. And so
Right.
Julian and I developed this process, our own code, our own methodology that really takes the client through the process side. So if you think about a business, I'll give you in 2 seconds. If you think about how a business is structured, it's people and process. I mean, that's
Hmm.
it, right?
Yep.
So people running processes. So we said, well, we need to get the people to understand what processes they're actually running and how to control those processes. So that's the methodology we developed. So we went from the grass, like the bottom up, and helped people manage that way. And then the executive team can almost reach down to the front line and lead that way without all these levels of management and disruption and complication. So that's how we developed our controllable methodology through this measurement system. And now we're applying tech to it with the advent of AI.
Hmm. And I mean, obviously, the AI wave is crashing upon all of us, and it's all we hear about. How did you originally plan to execute on that? Since if it was 2021, we weren't quite in the thick of the saturation of AI. Were you just going to build a platform and just have your people run processes through that platform? Was that kind of the original idea?
Jay, great question. So we tried to do the methodology on a service-based level. And we tried to teach our employees, Julian and I, how to run the engagements. So we said, we're going to scale this from a service level. And in teaching our analysts slash associates on board, we really struggled to get them up to speed. So we said,
Mm.
okay, this is just way too heavy analysis for this to be able to be taught to scale. So at a certain point, we turned and we said, look, we're either going to close this down and just do it us individually, or we have to find a way for tech to help us. So that's when we started to talk about tech. And then when AI really started to get out there from a knowledge understanding, even though AI has been around for like 15 years in a major way, when ChatGPT really hit the scene, I turned to my partner, literally Julian, and said, we can use that data set to help us scale with our clients. And he agreed. And that's when we
Mm.
started to move forward. Literally about 18 months ago, we started to look at that.
And how did you already start building out any tech before you kind of decided AI was the way to go, or did you have to rewrite a bunch of stuff to include AI, or were you kind of were at the right place at the right time to engage with AI to kind of answer some of these problems for you?
Yeah, that's really the answer. We were at the right time and we had researched and built out the methodology and used, I mean, spreadsheets and Word documents to build out the methodology and implement it successfully with clients that we were running through on a manual basis, but not able to really build any tech around that until
Mm.
we saw AI come. Exactly.
Got it.
So
So I love the services to product business pivot. Somebody told me one time that everybody that runs a service organization wants to have a product, and everybody that runs a product organization wants to run a services business. So I love that you kind of have made this change in this pivot. So how did you go about getting customers to buy into something that doesn't exist yet? I mean, I know we talked before the show and we talked the other day. You've already got some clients that are kind of lined up to be your initial set. How did you approach them? Like, what was the pitch? Was it people you were already working with in the services side? Like, who were these people and where did they come from? And how did you convince them that this is a real AI platform that really is going to do stuff and not just be, something stuck on top of Chat GPT that so many things are these days?
absolutely. So we actually have a few channels there. So I'll briefly explain them. So the one channel is our current clients. So sure, we have about five of them that are going to roll over into the product of our current clients that are on our B.Modelr, which by the way, Jay, we're calling VIDA. We're
Hmm.
calling our product VIDA. So
Okay.
that's value driven integration, delivering accessibility to the SMB space. So that's VIDA, which by the way is also my daughter.
Oh,
So
look at that. You gotta love that. You gotta love that.
it's fun. It's fun. So it's a great acronym and it aligns really well. So sorry, that was a tangent, but
No, I
what
like
the
that.
channel, thanks. The channels we use were the current clients who are like, ready, sign me up. We see the value. And then there are two other, we've had a long standing since late 2017 relationship with PIDC, the Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation, a local CDFI community development financial institution in Philadelphia that helps fund companies when banks won't lend to them. And we've had a relationship with them for since 17, and they've recontracted with us for 2 to 3 new clients every year. And we're going to roll 2 of those clients starting in July into our product and
Hmm.
into our service. And why PIDC is excited about that is they're a very metric driven measurement type organization. So they love to see how you start with the current state and you go to a future state and you try to improve along that. That's what our system does. And so we can report that to them very efficiently. And they're excited about that. The other channel was 10KSB. If you know the Goldman Sachs program for 10KSB companies, 10,000 small businesses around the country.
Hmm.
So I've been involved with them as well for about 3.5, 4 years, doing sort of presentations, just helping out the scholars that are part of that program, which are all business owners. I was recently at one of their presentations speaking about some items, and I said to the crowd, I said, there were 35 business owners in a room. And I said, all right, guys, I have a question for you. How many of you struggle to understand value versus non-value add in your business model? 30 hands went up. I said, if I can tell you through a tool that I'm developing how you can focus on the value added piece of your business model and downgrade the non-value add so it can help you build more equity and scale, would you be interested in that? 30 hands went up. So at the end of the presentation, they came up to me and I'm handing out business cards, and I have like 4 or 5 of those people who are starting as our testers in July.
I love that. And we talked about this a little bit before too. I think what made me it finally click with me was a real world example, right? Like what is a real value add versus a non-real value add, just using some sort of, example company, just so it makes it more clear for people like what it is you're laying out here.
Yeah, sure. It's all around, it's very simply all around resource management is the biggest thing and resource allocation. That's where we're focusing. And our first niche is the service businesses, service companies. So really, if you think of let's do a marketing agency, something simple. So if you're trying to figure out how you deliver to the client, you get an order for a website production, or you get an order for some type of, I don't know, digital marketing for a client. And then you have to take what the process is to the end deliverable to get the client to, so the client is happy with the value they're receiving. Well, you have to allocate resources along that process to effectively make something come together that the client is excited about. So what our system does is it says, okay, along that process, we are going to integrate all of your measures with the customer demands or the customer requirements so that every time you're managing a piece of that process, we're making sure that that's the highest value piece for the customer's deliverable. So as you're stepping along that chain, where you're tracking those 4 to 5 key pieces and making sure you're allocating resources most effectively. And if you start to fall off on a measurement level, it says, wait, that's not as valuable for the customer. Come back online with this type of level. And that's specifically how it runs.
Hmm. And what if a company doesn't know those metrics? Like, do you guys have the experience? Is it like part of the platform to help tease those out so that people can understand what those metrics are? Because I mean, I know lots of service business owners that potentially wouldn't have those metrics handy, right? They know they make stuff, they know they have clients, they know they have income and expenses, but they don't really know maybe the pieces that would be required to kind of measure it properly. How do you guys deal with a situation like that?
All right, Jay, ready? Jay, really, you're uncovering our secret sauce here. So here's the deal. What we've developed is using natural language processing, or the LLMs out in the world. We've attached our software application to those currently until we build our own. But for now, it's attached to those. So what's proprietary about our code is that we are using all the data out in the world that pulls into our system so that when we know just a few pieces of information about that business model, we can tell them what they have to focus on and then facilitate how they track those measures. So it tells them what measures to focus on.
Hmm.
And then they say, well, I might want to focus on that one first because it makes more sense and where the stage of my business. So I'm going to focus on that one. And our system will facilitate that and have them test certain measures over 4 weeks, over 8 weeks, and see if they're having an effect on focusing on those key measures and how it then integrates with their whole business model and financial clarity. That's the beauty of the whole equation.
So I guess the billion-dollar question is, are you going to use this platform for your own business? Is it going to be something that you guys use to feed your stuff back into to improve what you're offering?
Absolutely.
I love
Without a
it.
doubt, because as we grow, what we're going to see, we envision, is we're going to see the need for more feature sets that the clients are going to want, or the opportunity is to come engaged in our, like, embedded in our platform. So we're going to want to test those pieces as well, naturally. That's how
Mm,
you develop. You iterate, you test, you integrate. So we're going to be using the system for ours, absolutely, as we continue to grow.
I love it. So how do you guys plan on keeping your pipeline full for this thing? Like, what's your sales and marketing approach like as this thing scales up and grows? Is it just going to be word of mouth? Is it going to be, you're going to pool a bunch of money for paid ads, or are you going to do a bunch of outreach? Like, what is your plan to take this thing from, point 0.5 to whatever X you guys want to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be the digital operating system for all businesses on the daily use in real time. That's where we want to get to. So that's a massive product. If we can get there, we first need to do it by network. So I know you might have some businesses that you might know of. We only need to get to probably 40 or 50 businesses for us to be able to get to what we would call like enough investor money to be able to then turn up the marketing engine.
Hmm.
So we think we can do that locally or regionally pretty simply through networks. And then we're going to start to turn that up. And yeah, it'll be a combination of all the tools out there, most likely, like SEO, email marketing, lead generation, probably all of that. And we'll have a lot more testimonial and pull out of value pieces that we can highlight. Like, are you missing this? We can help you. So
Right.
that's what we're waiting for. Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this just because I know you're a finance, like analytical kind of guy, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you have a business plan on paper with these things etched out to where you want to be or what this is going to be? Or has it been a little more fluid and dynamic than that as you guys have figured this out?
So it's been a little bit of combo of both. So what we believe in for sure is that, yeah, while a plan is a good starting point, you got plans change all the time as you're developing, especially as a startup, which we are. So we didn't necessarily stick to that plan, but we are live adapting as we go. So every week we'll say, where do we need to be? Are we hitting that milestone? Which is very similar to what our system does. So we're making sure that we stay on top of that. And we do have, call it a 6 to 8 month, pretty set idea of where we need to be and what dollars we need. Post that, it's a little uncertain right now. So
That makes sense.
it's
That
just the
makes sense.
nature of it. Yeah.
Back to you specifically, how do you stay focused as a entrepreneur and business owner? Like, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Do you work off of lists of stuff? Do you block off time to focus on stuff? Just in general, from a productivity standpoint, running a business is enough of a, running a service business and then creating a product and then doing all these other things and getting investors and like having clients and customers. How do you stay focused and locked in to make sure you're maximizing your time and energy to build this thing the right way?
It is a heavy lift, Jay. So, as you can attest to, being an entrepreneur is not easy. But I would say if you're in the business like we are, which is a very heavy analytical type business. I mean, I am a CEO, but I am a very mixed type of CEO where I can sell, but I'm also a very analytical driven type mindset and a finance background. So you need to block time for the creative process. So analysis is not easy. It takes a lot of thought process. So I will always block at least a 3 to 4 hour window when I have to tackle some kind of strategic thought process because it takes me an hour and a half just to get in flow. So that's what we always talk about internal is when are we going to get in flow? And we make sure we don't interrupt each other when we're in flow because we can offer a lot faster improvement on what we're trying to do if we do that. So
Makes sense. No, I like that. And I guess as a super analytical guy, you know, I think people have a view of them being somewhat stiff. I met you in person and that's not the case, but I am curious, what do you do to get the hell away from everything and to kind of reset? So, I know those 3 to 4 hour blocks for all of us business owners are very intense, and it doesn't matter what you do or what your business is, like it can be intense, and even if you're just out networking, like at the end of the day you're like, god, that was a lot of like being on for that amount of time. What do you do, kind of consistently or try to do consistently to kind of reset and make sure you're not going to explode, at some point from all the stuff going on?
absolutely great question. So the way I burn off steam, so to speak, so that I can keep level is I mean, you probably hear this a lot, but I work out consistently. So I, without fail, work out 3 times a week. So specifically a lot of weight training, at least twice a week, and then one cardio thing. If I didn't have that, I would be in serious trouble. It's really true. I mean, I can't see myself functioning without it. It stabilizes me. It helps a lot. I get a good amount of sleep. Some people can function on less sleep. I need at least 7.5 hours to 8 hours of sleep to really function. So I also make sure that's a priority, and that helps. That's generally it.
Yeah,
So
no, the workout thing I think is probably the most common but required part of not going insane. I mean, I work out probably 6 to 7 days a week, and if I don't for like a day, I can feel it. And I know that
crazy.
feeling. Even if it's 3 days a week, it's if you miss whatever time window it is you're supposed to be working out, you can start to just you feel like spiders are crawling on
You
you and you're about to
feel it. Yeah.
jump out a window. So yeah, no, I totally get that and I love that. All right, last question.
Yeah.
If you could do anything on earth, non-business related, and you knew
Yeah.
you couldn't fail, what would it be?
That's an easy one.
Oh, usually
I would
it's usually a tough one.
it's a tough one. Like, it's not really
No, it's
doable.
usually tough for people to think of, but I have it ready. Let's
Oh,
go.
I would absolutely wanna be one of the first people to jump either to Mars or on a spaceship that's traveling 1/3 of the speed of light and just expanding into the universe, and we live on the spaceship for the next 100 years. I would absolutely wanna be one of those. I'd wanna bring my family along, obviously,
Right.
but
Right.
I would love to do that. That's always been a dream of mine since I was a kid is, like, astronaut and space stuff. I went to space camp when I was a young kid, so I would totally love
Beautiful.
to do that. Yeah.
Well, as anybody who listens to the show knows, I am an astrophotographer and a space fanatic, so we
Oh,
share
really?
that. Oh yeah, there's a giant picture of I don't know if I could actually show it on the show or not. There's a big picture of Andromeda that I shot over there. Oh, yeah,
I
giant
didn't know.
telescope in the yard. Oh yeah, I'm a huge space nerd, so maybe we'll jump off of something onto Mars together one day. But Jeff,
That's great.
you're fantastic. Where can people find you if they want to reach out for anything they heard today, and where can they find more about B.Modelr if they want to reach out about that?
Absolutely. The best way is just to email me, honestly. It's Jeff, Jeff, at bmodeler, BMODELR.com. Jeff at bmodeler.com. Easiest communication for me. Or
Beautiful.
LinkedIn.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I'll be following along your journey. I love the early stage stuff, especially with folks who are kind of established and then can, turn that energy towards something like a product. So we'll be watching. Jeff, best of luck, brother. Keep us in, mind, and we'll have you back on after things are rocking and maybe you're just, you've blown up and,
Thank you.
you can make your trip to Mars and it'll be a good time for everybody. So I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the great weather and we'll talk again soon. All right, Jeff?
Thank you, Jay. Love it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. See you, man. Later.